Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to look at angle of depression and angle of elevation. Those who have not yet liked, those who have not yet subscribed, please you can just click the button below and like and subscribe. So we are going to start by illustrating. Let me try to illustrate what is an angle of elevation. Assuming you're standing, this is the ground. Let's assume that this is our ground. Are we together? So if this is our ground and maybe there is a bird up here, this is our bird. Let's say this is the bird, these are the wings, these are the wings. And I'm trying to look at this bird here while I'm standing here. I'm the man and I'm actually standing here. So the angle of elevation will be this angle that I use to be able to look at this bird. Are we together? That is the angle of elevation. But normally, when you're trying to illustrate it. So this is what we call our angle of elevation, the angle at which I'm looking at the bird. While the angle of depression is actually the opposite. Assuming this is a tower, and I'm standing at this point here on this tower, the angle of depression will actually be this angle that I'm using to be able to look down. Are we together? This is the angle of depression. If I'm standing here or at this point, the angle that I use to look down is actually the angle of depression. So let's do an example and try to illustrate this. They are saying here, the angle of elevation from a point 20 feet from the base of a tree on the level ground to the top of the tree is 30. Find the height of the tree to the nearest 10th. So let me try to draw. This is our tree. Let me try to draw the tree. This is our tree that is on this ground. And they're saying the angle of elevation from a point 20 feet from the base. From the base. So that means that if this is the tree, the angle of, and this is the point, let's assume it's this, the distance between them is actually 20 feet. Are we together? And they're saying the angle of elevation from this point to looking up to the tree is actually, remember this is our base, we said this is our base, this is our ground here, but use a straight line. So this is our ground is 30 degrees. So they actually now want us to find the height of the tree. Let the height of the tree be h. So this is actually a right angle triangle that looks like this. If you try to put it in simple terms, this is 30, this is 20, and this is h. What can we use to find this? We can use tan. So tan 30 equals to the opposite. Remember what we said on our soccer tower? Soccer tower. Opposite tower is opposite over adjacent. So our opposite is h over adjacent, which is 20. So our answer will be h equals to 20 tan 30. If you try to put it in, this is 20 tan 30 to be 11.5. So it is 11.5. But they say to the nearest 10th, so this is 5. Are we together? That is it. Feet. Let's try another example here. They are saying a plane is flying at an altitude of 12,000 meters. And they are saying from the pilot, the angle of depression to the airport tower is 32 degrees. Then they are saying how far is the tower from the point directly beneath the train, the airplane. If this, let me try to draw it here. If this is our airplane, this is our airplane. They are saying it's flying at an altitude of 12,000 meters. So this is the altitude here. The distance is actually, they've said it is 12,000 meters from the ground to the plane. And they are saying the angle of depression to the airport is 32 degrees. So this is it, the angle of depression from this point to the tower. Let's assume the tower is around here. The tower of the airport is around here. This is the airport. I say the angle of depression at which they are looking down is 32 degrees. Then afterwards they are telling us how far is the tower from the point directly beneath the train. How far is the tower from this point directly beneath the aeroplane? They want this distance here, which we can call D. Let's call it the distance D. So it's also the same. When you look at this, it's a right angled triangle. So tan 32 will be our opposite, which is the D we are looking for, over our adjacent, which is 12,000. So D will be equal to 12,000 tan of 32. And what's the answer? 12,000 tan of 32. Answer is actually distance is 7498.43, but the meters. That is it. Let's go now to the next one. Next question. Next question is telling us a pole 5 meters high is fixed on a top of a tower. So let's try to draw. This is, in case this is our tower. They have said a pole that is 5 meters high. This is our pole. It is actually 5 meters high. It's fixed on a tower. Then they are saying the angle of elevation of the top of the pole, of the top of the pole, is observed from point A. Right together. The angle of elevation of the top of the pole. A. This is our tower. Then they have said a pole of 5 meters is fixed. Then they are saying the angle of elevation of the top of the pole is observed from a point A on the ground. This is the ground here. And here of the top, the angle of elevation here, this is the top of the pole, is observed from the ground at point A. This point is called A at an angle of 60 degrees. Are we together? Then they are saying the angle of depression to the point A from the top of the tower. This is the tower. So they are saying the angle of depression here to this point here is actually 45. Are we together? So remember, this is our ground. And then they are telling us find the height of the tower. This height here, which is h. Are we together? But find this h, we need to first find the distance here, from here to here. So to find that distance, that means we shall use the first triangle. Remember, this is the first triangle, having this as 60. Are we together? This triangle here, and having this distance as 5 plus h. Are we together? You can even actually get here. So, but we don't know this distance. Let this distance be x. This from here up to here, we let this distance to be x. Are we together? So when we are solving it, actually, we also use tan. Tan of 60 equals to our opposite, which is 5 plus h over x. Are we together? That will be our first one. So when you try to simplify it, we shall see that tan of 60 is actually root 3. So root 3 is equals to 5 plus h out of x. Are we together? So this is root 3 x is equals to 5 plus h. Let's try to also get the second triangle. The second triangle will be this smaller triangle here. This one here. Having this as 45, this as h, and this as x. So we also do the same. Tan of 45 equals to opposite, which is x over h. But what is tan of 45? Tan of 45 is actually 1. So that means x over h. So when you cross multiply, they are saying x is equals to h. You come and substitute where you see x, you're going to put h. This gives us root 3 h equals to 5 plus h. When you take this h this side, it becomes root 3h minus h equals to 5. When you factor out h, this is root 3 minus 1 equals to 5. Divide by root 3 minus 1, divide by root 3 minus 1. So automatically our h will be 5 over root 3 minus 1, which we are actually looking at as our distance. And it is actually in meters. For those with any questions, you can please post them in the comments or anything to supplement. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe and to like.